Well, here we are in Durobrivae, a Roman town of 44 acres, about 18 hectares. It's potentially one of the most important sites in the Roman world in Britain. It's internationally important in many respects. It sits at the heart of an incredibly complex and extensive set of suburbs that run to several hundred acres. So if you add the total occupied area together, it is astonishing. The town was walled in probably the 2nd through to the 4th century. It had gateways, and when you look around the fields here, it's a grass field today with cattle on it in part. This would have been a thriving town in the Roman period. In fact, in the Hadrianic period it would have been a real boom town. Around about 130, 140, this would have been the thriving heart of the East Midlands. I mean, just how important it is attested to by the finding of the earliest Christian silver in the Roman Empire in the world.
What we currently know about the site is gleaned primarily from aerial photography and geophysical survey. Crop marks reveal Ermine Street, the primary Roman road to York and the northern frontier, running straight through the town. A recent magnetometry survey undertaken by Durham University provides a detailed street map picking out key buildings. Other non-invasive techniques provide detail on a Romano-Celtic temple and point to an unusual east-west aligned building which just might have been an early church. This year, a team of students from Cardiff University, led by Peter Guest, have the support of Historic England to undertake an excavation. This will assess the potential of the site to tell us more about the evolution of a significant town through the Roman occupation.
Out the trenches where they're going to start excavating, we're using a GPS because the trenches are targeting some geophysics that has been done previously, so that we know exactly what we might be hitting.
So we've got 11 trenches altogether. This is the largest of them, and there are 10 all the way around the interior of the town, which we'll be working on and excavating. They're much smaller, excavating over the course of the next 4 weeks. This is a really, really nice coin, and it's probably a silver denarius, but mixed with quite a bit of copper, which means that it's not quite as silvery as you would expect. So Roman soldiers were paid at that particular time around about 600 of those a year.
Nice decorated pot actually. Found some quite nice bits. Where's the one? This one's quite nice. You can see there.
But I think that's a piece of window glass. And if you hold it up to the light, you can see lots of little imperfections, little bubbles in it.
Yeah.
That's almost typical of early glass. We've put trenches here, or a trench, because we're standing on Ermine Street. Ermine Street's about here, I suppose, just behind us. And there are strip buildings coming away from Ermine Street. Short axis on the street, long axis away. And this is one area where the geophysics show intense magnetic readings, as if all the buildings, or many of the buildings in this area, have burnt down.
That's burned, isn't it? So this stuff here, look, looks very similar. You know this because you've been digging it. It looks very similar to what we've been taking off all the way up there, doesn't it? Yeah. This sort of black stuff. Yeah, it's got bits of plaster and sandstone and various other things mixed in, but all of a sudden that feels harder, more compact. But it tells us that we're at the bottom level now of the upper topsoil of the plough soil, and that is the kind of level that we want to extend across the entirety of the trench.
I think we've got a mosaic floor.
And I mean, the interesting thing is, look, that it's made out of little cubes of local limestone that when you put your fingers over them are very worn. That's because people have been walking backwards and forwards over the top. When it's put down is another matter. I suspect it's actually very late. And this would have formed in the medieval period, you would have called it a cloister around the outside. And it's a walkway, in fact, around the central part where the deity and the effigy of the deity would have been. And our little mosaic floor there is in this outer part that would have formed a walkway for anybody that's coming to the shrine to worship at.
I think it's just been heavily disturbed by rabbits over hundreds of years, so it's really churned up the layers. So although we might have had layers showing floor levels and makeup at one point, the rabbits have just churned it up so much that we've just got little bits of mortar, little bits of stone, everything's really mixed up.
What's all this stuff here?
Lots of it, oyster shell, all these, bits of bone, jewels of animals, things like that, Samian things, Samian pottery.
This has just been excavated on the site here at Durobrivae, but in fact it's travelled a long way from central France, where it was made somewhere around 150 to 180 AD.
I'm sitting, crouching, in what appears to be a comparatively small box or trench archaeologically. In the context of the whole of Durobrivae, it's tiny, absolutely tiny. This year we're digging, what, 0.003% of the total area. So trying to interpret what we're seeing is actually quite difficult. But we think we're looking at a wall, or the foundations of a wall on that side, which butts tightly up against Ermine Street, just to that side. And in front of me, this side of the wall, the red material is the remains of a floor. Now, what's happened to the rest of the floor on either side? Well, rabbits and time have taken their toll, I'm afraid. But that wall then is spectacularly increased in size when we look at the walls further back in the building. So if we go and look at the walls there, we can see what they look like. Well, we've just looked at the front of the building that sits against Ermine Street. Here we are part way down the building, and it would have gone further back that way almost certainly. And you can see a really substantial piece of wall, with it nearly being as tall as I am. Absolutely classic Roman masonry. So the wall look is constructed in a very interesting fashion. They've put layers of stone and then poured mortar on the top of it. Then another layer of stone and mortar, stone, mortar, until they've got to here, where they've put a string course look of tile. You can see the tiles here, and it runs right the way through the wall onto that side, 2 tiles thick, and the string course basically is to bond the wall together. But I suppose if the wall is to be seen, it makes it look semi-decorative. Right, so there's the string course of 2 layers of tile, and if you look, there's a tantalisingly small fragment of wall plaster here. It might have originally been coloured, or at least whitewashed, lime washed, I suppose, and it indicates that it's meant to be seen. People are standing here looking at it in the 3rd or 4th century when this building's being used, and it's one tantalising fragment that remains.
After 4 weeks, the 2019 excavation at Durobrivae is coming to an end. Each trench is photographed and carefully documented. 595 coins and nearly 6,000 pottery sherds are sent for analysis. Then there are a small number of personal items, including 4 brooches, an enamelled copper alloy seal box lid and an iron stylus. Though very limited in scope, the dig has helped interpret and validate the images derived from the geophysical surveys. It has confirmed the depth of deposits and the damage being caused by burrowing animals. The tessellated ambulatory in Trench 8 begins to bring the Romano-Celtic temple to life. The dig has exposed a small section of one of the public buildings, but leaves us uncertain about the detail of the forum, the baths and mansio. We understand little about the walls of the town, beyond speculating that much of the robbed stone from earlier buildings was used for their construction. This is just the start. Durobrivae has the scope to tell us much more about Roman life, Roman industry and Roman urban development. This important site is largely unnoticed by the rapidly growing population of modern-day Peterborough or those who drive past on the A1. Further investigation of Durobrivae has the potential to promote awareness of our Roman past amongst many millions of people.